Hello everyone. I hope you're doing well on this fine, beautiful night, evening, morning, whatever time it is for you. My name is Angel, or Kylia, depending on what you want to call me, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back if you're already subscribed, but if you're not already subscribed, then welcome, and be sure to subscribe. Like and subscribe! Anyways, so something I've been paying attention to recently is posts that say that Gen Z or like young millennials, well basically they don't really specify the generation, but posts that are like, this generation is the most unfaithful generation to exist, or like being loyal in this generation is like asking to get embarrassed or something like that, which obviously implies to like either young millennials or my generation, Gen Z, because we're the ones who use the internet the most. Obviously posts on the internet are usually made by Gen Z. So when they're saying this generation, they're usually talking about their own generation, which would be either millennial or Gen Z. Does that make sense? So anyways, yeah, I've been noticing a lot of those type of posts, basically implying that the recent generations are not the most faithful. And that got me thinking, is that really true? I don't know about you guys, but I personally have never really thought about which generation was the most loyal and whatever. Usually people have the idea that older generations, more traditional generations, like traditional views, have had different opinions on marriage and stuff like that, and their relationships have lasted longer because of it. But other than that, like, I haven't really thought about it. So I did a little bit of research, a little bit of thinking, looking out, seeking, finding, pondering, and here is a conclusion that I've made. But first, before we can say whether or not Gen Z or young millennials are the most unloyal generations, we have to look at the other options that we compare these generations to, so older generations, and see how they did when it came to marriage and stuff like that. So in order to make my comparison, I researched the divorce rates on each generation that currently exists, because that's the only thing I can use as a reference because it's documented. So anyways, so the oldest two generations are the greatest generation and the silent generation. The divorce rates among these two generations are practically zero, mainly because the mindset in relationship to relationships was way different, and it was seen more as a necessity rather than an option to get married and like have a nuclear family and whatnot. So divorce wasn't even thought of, and it wasn't even like an option either at the time. So basically no divorces. Next up we have baby boomers, so people born from 1946 to 1965. First of all, baby boomers are the single like biggest generation in the US. Their demographic holds a lot of weight. So second of all, baby boomers started civil rights basically, and because of civil rights movements, divorce became much more socially acceptable, and then people were allowed to get divorce for no reasoning, like they could just get a divorce without giving a reason. And so many more people were able to get divorced and leave their unhappy marriages or whatever the reason they were getting divorced for. And as a result, many boomers have been divorced. So in 2015, every 10 out of 1,000 boomers have been in a divorce. And considering that there's 77 million boomers in the US, that's a lot of divorces. And then the generation after boomers is Generation X, which is people born from 1965 to 1980. So because many Gen X people had divorced parents, it seems that they reacted to that whole like divorce wave by waiting later until they got married. And so as a result, so approximately 70% of marriages in the 90s have lasted longer than 15 years when it came to Generation X. And then when it comes to millennials and Gen Z, many like early millennials, like the older millennials are kind of like waiting it out to get married. And Gen Z, most of them are young, like that's my generation, and I cannot get married right now. So like you'd assume, oh, so does that mean that boomers are the most unfaithful? Maybe, who knows. But something I've paid attention to is that Gen Z really does have like a tendency to make these type of jokes or like flex being in unstable relationships and stuff like that. So like, let me just show you some examples. So what's been really popular among Gen Z and young millennials are cheating jokes. And not gonna lie, cheating jokes aren't anything new, because I mean, I've seen cheating jokes on Facebook where you usually have like older people, and I mean, cheating has always been a thing, but it just seems much more normalized. Well, not normalized, but so much more common and joked about nowadays. It seems to me, at least. So, for example, when you see your girlfriend walking with another man, but your wife is next to you so you can't do anything. And this post got like 800,000 likes. Is that really that funny? Because I don't know, for me personally, I didn't find it funny. Maybe I'm just boring, but I don't know, cheating jokes are not funny to me. But they're so common. Or posts are like, when my phone rings and he says, oh, that's probably your other men calling, and it actually is, like that kind of joke. Basically implying that the person who made the video does have a lot of side hoes, and their boyfriend is suspicious of them, and he's suspicious for a good reason, because those side hoes do actually exist. And like, I personally don't find it funny. Not that I care, like I don't care if other people's relationships are messy or if they cheat on each other, that's none of my business. But it's just interesting to me that these kind of jokes are so popular about cheating, and like the punchline is cheating. I don't see how being unfaithful is funny, but that's just me personally, and it does really make the generation look like they don't care about loyalty and stuff like that. And then there are also like hashtag relatable posts, hashtag relatable talk, relatable TikToks. And this girl is like, leave him if he keeps cheating. And the audio is like, no. Basically implying that she's not gonna leave her high school boyfriend who literally does nothing significant enough for her to stay with him even if he's a shitty person. Anyways, basically implying that she's not gonna break up with him even if he cheats on her many times. Which, like, why? The only time I understand that is if you're married to a multi-billionaire and the money makes up for it. But if it's just a high school relationship, like, why? That doesn't make sense to me. But I guess it does show that cheating is like so common, because that post is also really popular. Oh, I also remember, okay, so then there was like a whole trend. It's called like the 3 times trend. So basically TikTok has audios that are trendy in one way or another, and some audios are trendy for thirst traps. If you don't know what thirst traps are, it's basically like videos, kind of provocative videos that gain a lot of attention because they're like attractive people doing hot things, and it's like, oh, promiscuous. And basically the 3 times trend is basically you play the audio that is known to have those like spicy videos on it, and you play it 3 times in front of your partner to see their reaction, to see if they're gonna think that you're like looking at other people and to get your partner jealous, which I think is such a toxic trend. I know it might be just for like giggles and stuff, like, well, I want to see how my boyfriend or girlfriend would react if I did that. But like, have you ever thought of how that would make them feel? Like, I don't know, that just seems really gross to me. Why, I don't know why you do that, but alright. So anyways, there was that trend. And then there are also like audios, like fake FaceTime audios, where like the audio itself is as if you were FaceTiming someone, and it's like, hey girl, is your man still at home? And then the boyfriend's like, who are you talking to? That was a whole thing too. And I just don't understand why it's like funny to people. And the reason why I feel like it's probably so common is because of several things, actually. So first thing I can think of is immaturity. Many people are young and really immature, probably don't think a lot about how they'd make their partner feel and whatnot. The second reason why it might be so common is because of the internet. It's really easy to cheat with the internet, to be sneaky, because you don't have to like leave your house to cheat, I guess. I also feel like media kind of plays a big part, because now that I think of it, there were times in shows and like childhood shows where certain characters got cheated on, and it was like, where certain characters had like boy problems, and maybe that kind of influences the way people see relationships nowadays. But overall, I can definitely see why Gen Z and young millennials, like the current generation, is deemed as unloyal and unfaithful because it's definitely trendy to be like unfaithful. It's cool if you got a lot of hoes. And I don't know, I just feel like probably everyone is really young and immature. Of course, that's not an excuse to do something like that, but that's just my conclusion and observation. It's definitely interesting and a little bit disappointing, I guess. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, do the exact same thing, and I'll see you next time.